Hello everyone, welcome to the course of Survey of Major English-Speaking Countries. Today, we're going to learn Chapter 9, the General Introduction of the United States. This lecture is about Lesson C, the General Introduction of New York City. New York City, also known as the Big Apple or the City Never Sleeps, is a city and a port located at the mouth of the Hudson River, southeastern New York State. It is the largest and the most influential American metropolis, as well as the most populous and the most international city in the world. For the past 2 centuries, New York has been the largest and wealthiest American city. More than half the people and the goods that ever entered the United States came through its port. And that stream of commerce has constantly changed the city life. New York always meant possibilities, for it was an urban center on its way to something better. New York also achieved a reputation as both foreign and fearsome, a place where arrogance, incivility, and cruelty tested everyone who entered it. The city was inhabited by strangers. But they were, as James Fenimore Cooper explained, essentially national in interest, position, pursuit. No one thinks of its place as belonging to a particular state, but to the United States. Once the capital of both a state and the country, New York surpassed such status to become a world city in both commerce and outlook, with the most famous skylines on Earth. It also became a target for international terrorism, most notably the destruction in 2001 of the World Trade Center, which for 3 decades had been the most prominent symbol of the city's global reputation. However, New York remains for its global residents of local neighborhoods that provide them with familiar cuisines, languages, and experiences. A city of deep contrasts and contradictions, New York is perhaps the most fitting representative of a diverse and a powerful nation. At the same time, New York is the most ethnically diverse, religiously varied, commercially driven, famously congested, and, in the eyes of many, the most attractive urban center in the world. No other city has contributed more images to the collective consciousness of Americans. Wall Street means finance. Broadway is synonymous with theater. Fifth Avenue is automatically paired with shopping. Madison Avenue means the advertising industry. Greenwich Village connotes bohemian lifestyle. 7th Avenue signifies fashion. Tammany Hall defines machine politics, and Harlem evokes images of the Jazz Age, African-American aspirations, and slums. As for the history of New York City, the English, however, were not the first to colonize New York. The Dutch bought Manhattan Island from the Indians for what today would be the equivalent of $24. They named it New Amsterdam. In 1664, the English and the Dutch went to war. New Amsterdam was seized by the English fleet, and finally, in 1674, it became an English colony. After the American Independence War, New York became the first capital of the United States, being already the largest city in the North. By the end of the 18th century, it had a population of 60,000, but it grew rapidly during the 19th century, thanks to the millions of immigrants who landed there. New York, however, became one of the largest and most powerful cities in the Western world and has at present a population of more than 8 million. No matter for New Yorkers or the visitors from international communities, the first symbol of the city is the Statue of Liberty. The statue commemorates the signing of the United States Declaration of Independence. It was given to the United States by the people of France in 1886 to represent the friendship between the two countries established during the American Revolution. The statue represents the freedom and the liberty of the United States democracy. The figure is modeled after a Roman goddess named Libertas. The torch she holds high represents the enlightenment of the world. There are also broken chains at her feet that symbolize the United States breaking free from tyranny. The Statue of Liberty is one of the most recognizable symbols in the world. For many years, it was one of the first glances of the United States for millions of immigrants and visitors after ocean voyages from around the world. Modern New York is an exciting city. The architecture of Manhattan, with its soaring skyscrapers, is not soulless, as many foreigners imagine. The material used, copper, stainless steel, concrete, and glass, give the buildings a striking beauty. The long avenues, broad and straight, lined with expensive stores and massive apartment houses, impress by their scale alone. So does Central Park, whose trees and rocks and lakes almost give the impression of wildness. Central Park is located between the Upper West Side and Upper East Side. It is the most visited urban park in the United States, with an estimated 40 million visitors every year, and one of the most filmed locations in the world. There's plenty to see and do in Central Park. Sports facilities can be found all over the park, but most of the interesting sites are found in the lower half of the Central Park. You will come across historical buildings, statues, monuments, beautiful bridges, and of course, plenty of nature. This park is home to artificial lakes, waterfalls, meadows, and wooded areas. You will also find the Central Park Zoo, among other attractions in this green space of New York. Besides being the city's primary green lawns, Central Park is a favorite spot for many New Yorkers, as it is perfect for sunbathing, going for walks, or doing any outdoor sports. New York has had an interesting cultural impact, not only on the rest of the United States of America, but on the world. It has been a breeding ground for American art movements, and it's the place where many new Americans first arrived. New York is an impressive place for those who love the arts. Its museums and numerous art galleries, the concerts, opera and ballet performed at the Lincoln Center, the theater on and off Broadway, and in Greenwich Village, make it one of the world's centers of the arts. Take one museum as an example, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It is the largest, most prestigious, and most comprehensive art collections and cultural heritage in New York City as well as in the world. Every year, 7 million visitors came to the gallery space, gazing upon pieces representing 5,000 years of art and human history. From Egyptian tombs to American abstract expressionist paintings, the museum's permanent collection has more than 2 million objects, so expect to stay a while. The museum has important collections of Egyptian, Babylonian, East Asian, and Mid-Eastern, Greek and Roman, European, New Guinean, Islamic, and American art, including architecture, sculpture, painting, calligraphy, photographs, textiles, and musical instruments. Many foreigners mistakenly believe that Manhattan is New York, whereas Manhattan is just one of New York's 5 boroughs. It is not the largest. The Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens are now larger than Manhattan. These 4 boroughs have been called the bedrooms of Manhattan because most of the residents work in Manhattan. The narrow canyon of Wall Street, right down on the tip of Manhattan, is the center of New York's business world, whose powerful influence is felt by countries everywhere. It has a huge influence in business and finance. Among the top 500 companies in the world, 17 are headquartered in Wall Street. The New York Stock Exchange, the world's second largest stock exchange, was the largest stock exchange until 1996, when its trading volume was overtaken by Nasdaq. New York is a center of the performing arts, with 3 theatrical performances, with more than 40 theaters. Many people believe that the theatrical productions on Broadway are the best in the world. Each year, the best Broadway shows are awarded Tony Awards. Broadway shows are one of the most popular tourist attractions in New York City. During the season of 2018 to 2019, the total attendance was over 15 million, with more than 1.5 billion in tickets. Because many of the shows are popular and quite profitable, they often run for years and years, only closing when they stop drawing new audiences and become unprofitable. The long-running musical in Broadway history is the Phantom of the Opera. It opened on Broadway in 1988 and is still going strong today, giving more than 9,500 performances to date. The Broadway production of the Phantom of the Opera has made almost $1 billion, making it the most financially successful Broadway show in history. New York Times Square, located as the hub of Broadway Theater District, is known as the crossroads of the world and one of the centers of the world's entertainment industry. Nothing can prepare you for the sensory overload the first time you step into Times Square. The sidewalks are filled with a tremendous concentration of humanity. Roughly 300,000 pedestrians pass through every day, and the intersection's electric screen everywhere ensure that it's always bright, especially late at night. Named for the New York Times, whose first Times Square address served as the newspaper's headquarters. The area is now an entertainment district and business world, serviced by one of the busiest subway stations in the world. Now, it has become a safe, family-friendly destination that no visitors will want to miss. It is the place to catch the famous New Year's Eve ball job, the glittery show on Broadway, and an array of other attractions. In this sideshow, you can easily collect tips on what to say, where to shop, what to eat, and even inside information on some of the many colorful characters waiting to be discovered on its streets. Manhattan's Chinatown is the densest concentration of Chinese people in the Western Hemisphere. New York also has Columbia University, New York University, Rockefeller University, and other famous schools. Thank you very much.